Hello and welcome to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast, where each and every Friday I sit down with a wonderful content creator and I break down what makes them successful, how they've grown their creator business, and the ins and outs of what it takes to succeed as a creator. And so today is no different. I'm joined by Clayton Morris, a wonderful guest, someone with huge experience as a creator. But before we get started, I just want to say really quickly, you will not hear any sponsors or ad reads here on the podcast. I'm just going to tell you briefly about the things and services we offer to creators. Number one, I offer one-on-one coaching. Number two, we have a creator mastermind group, which is $5 to $10 to get in, and I believe one of the best bangs for your buck in the creator space. Next, we have our YouTube channel review and audit service, where I record a screencast video showcasing your channel where I believe you should be spending your time. And then lastly, a couple other free things. We have an email newsletter where you can keep up with my business and what I have going on. And then lastly, the Entrepreneur's Toolbox, which is just a running spreadsheet of every link, tool, or resource mentioned here on the podcast. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the Creators Hub podcast. I'm joined today by Clayton Morris, who is a former Fox News anchor turned independent journalist. He owns multiple YouTube channels, including his nearly 3 million subscriber channel known as Redacted News. That is Redacted News. He also has another channel affiliated with the Redacted brand. And then he also has a hobbyist gaming channel that has almost, I think it's 100,000 subscribers, if not very soon. And so Clayton obviously has had his fingertips in the creator space for a long time and has done very well. So Clayton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I don't usually do a lot of interviews. I almost do none of them. But when you reached out, I said, I love talking YouTube. And I think it's an interesting shift that's happening right now in YouTube. So if I can help creators out there and just have a discussion about it, I'm happy to do it. So thanks for inviting me.
I'll be honest, when I sent you the email, nothing against you. I wasn't expecting a response. I try never to get excited or try to get ahead of myself. But when I saw the response and that you had scheduled the date to have the conversation, I'm really excited. I know we only got a little short window here, so I'm just going to dive into it if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So Redacted is the name. Redacted News is the name of your main YouTube channel. 2.85 million subscribers as of recording this podcast. Almost 5,500 uploaded videos. You do multiple video uploads a day. Can you let my audience know the story behind that channel? How did that channel come to be?
Well, it kind of got rebranded because I had it for a number of years and then COVID hit. And then I was living in Europe at the time and had about a 5-hour jump on the East Coast, to do a morning show. And I come from the morning television business. And I said, I'm seeing so many lies that are being perpetrated on people about what's happening. Just all sorts of fake information that was coming out of Italy, just, around the COVID vaccine, all of these things, right? And I started doing a morning show focused, at the time, I just called it Morning Invest, and realized that all of the stories I was covering on that show, or a lot of them, were largely redacted content, meaning there was one day I said, I just did a story here about Pfizer and their court case, and most of their documents were totally redacted because they were trying to hide the truth about their phony COVID vaccine from people, right? That all that information has now come out. And the only reason it came out is because of a court case, at least at the time. They were trying to hide it for 75 years. And so I was literally looking at their documents, all redacted. And then we did another story about something regarding UFOs, and that was redacted. And I was like, that's the name of the show. We need to change it. It's not about investing in the morning. It's about this is really what it's about. It's about getting, and I spent, nearly 20 years in the mainstream media, and they lie by omission. It's what they don't tell you. That's also a lie. It's their convenient propaganda and narrative. So now I don't work for anybody. I work for myself, and I can tell you, I don't have to answer to anybody. And that's what I cover on the show. We're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. We think the uniparty is evil, and that's what we cover on our show. And so there's, 100 million Americans that don't vote at all, because they think of all of these parties as corrupt, and they are. And so I think that's kind of our sweet spot. That's what we focus on, is the news that the mainstream media really won't cover. And then my wife joined the show. She's a journalist, and I said, you've got to join this. You've got to be a part of the show, because she's a great journalist. She started as a newspaper reporter back in the day. She's a great researcher, an excellent researcher. She's been, researcher on multiple books. for some big name professors and stuff. So you got to join the show. And she did. And then that's kind of been the way we've been for the past, I guess, 5 years now, really, on Redacted.
Yeah, I'm so impressed at just the consistency and just how you guys upload multiple videos a day. You're staying ahead of the game and talking about really hard topics and sometimes controversial topics. And obviously that's one of the things that probably makes it tick. Now, when you decided to make the transition to take this show to be Redacted, was there a moment early on where you said to yourself, okay, this thing probably has legs and this thing is going to take off and this can be my full-time gig?
Yeah, I just knew we were hitting on something. So many people, they swallow CNN or Fox News or any of the other fake like corporate media that feeds them a spoon-fed narrative every day. And there's a lot of people who have awakened. I think COVID was really a tipping point for a lot of people, that they had been lied to big time by their governments, by their mainstream media, the collusion. When you see like Anderson Cooper 360 brought to you by Pfizer, it's like, wait a second. Okay, are you giving me the truth? So I knew, and then once we really started, and it was really the start of the Russian war in Ukraine, when you just saw all of these like Ukrainian flags being put up all over Portugal and Europe and in bus stops and train stations and stuff. You're like, who's paying for that? And you realize, oh, there's so much more to this story. And once we really started diving deep and covering, that was really at the beginning of the war. We're covering all of the lies and the CIA-backed coup that led to this war from 2014 in Ukraine and all of it. And once we started putting out this information, and you have, bot attacks, and you get like banned and blocked by YouTube. I mean, they come after you big time. But we knew we were hitting on something because people were saying, thank you for doing this. We can't get this from our mainstream media. And then we just got flooded. And then that's when we exploded, is because honestly, the truth works. So it was really the truth that like changed everything for us.
What do you think has changed the most in 5 years when you started seriously taking on Redacted up until now in 2026 and beyond on YouTube? What do you think has been some of the biggest changes?
There's obviously, well, a couple of things. It's a great question because for one, that we sit here at the beginning of 2026, and I can tell you I'm going to go through a couple of things. Number one, just at a granular level, the YouTube's terms of service has shifted. So it's amazing. They've done a 180-degree turn on certain things like the COVID vaccine. So when we were reporting on all of the adverse events and all of these things that were happening with this stuff, it's not even a vaccine, but you know what I mean? This fake COVID vaccine, we were reporting on this, and we had to be very careful about YouTube's terms of service. Even the day we were reading Pfizer's own documents, we got banned. YouTube said medical misinformation, and we got banned for like 2 weeks. And we weren't able to upload. We weren't able to make a community post. We weren't able to do anything. And then a few months later, YouTube, after all of the information started coming out about more publicly, they reversed their terms of service 180%, as you probably know. So you couldn't say before that I forget, they reversed it. I'm trying to remember exactly. But initially it was, you couldn't say that the COVID vaccine wouldn't stop the spread, right? And then they switched it and said you couldn't say that the COVID vaccine could stop the spread of COVID. Like they literally did a 180-degree flip. And it was amazing. They did it overnight. And we asked them, we're basically like, hey, you guys banned us for 2 weeks. So you guys want to give us, our channel monetization back? You want to give us these things back that you took away from us for 2 weeks, by the way? So a lot of things shifted on YouTube from like a terms of service perspective. They've now they were blocking a lot of people who were telling the truth about the government, and now they've rolled that back. A lot of channels that were blocked and banned have now been allowed to come back for telling the truth. We've had doctor friends, some of the top cardiologists in the world, who were banned. I mean, these people have like more peer-reviewed published articles, medical articles in medical journals. And so they were allowed to come back. So just from like a granular like terms of service thing, that has changed. The other big change I've noticed in the past like 5 years is, and I should mention, we've hit millions of subscribers. They should have sent us a gold play button. And because we got banned, they refused to send us a gold play button. If you've ever had a community strike on your channel, they won't send us a gold play button. So I'm stuck with this back here, which is their, the silver play, 100,000 subscribers. So Hey, YouTube, send, you reversed your terms of service. Send me my gold play buttons on my multiple channels. It's ridiculous. Anyway, another big thing that's changed is shorts. And we do a daily live show every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I've seen shorts now. They're really pushing shorts as like top content on the homepage, and I can't stand it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I go on there and I click do not show me shorts, and then like the next day the shorts are back. I'm like, I told you don't show it to me on my homepage. I don't want to see shorts. So we've personally shifted. I noticed that during the holidays, maybe creators can use this to their benefit. During the holidays, we pre-recorded a bunch of really long-form, deep dive conversation interviews, and like hour and a half long conversations. And during the holiday season, we published one per day, and range of topics like how LED lights are incredibly damaging to the human body, and like so interview with an expert on that, an interview on whatever. But those did really well during the holidays. Then we come back and start doing our live show again. And what we do is we chop up our 4 segments in our live show and we release them. They're usually like 10, 15 minutes long, and we publish them every day. And they just have not done as well. So that like 15-minute range I think there's a real salivation right now, or a real salivation is the wrong word, but like a real desire for long form conversations and content. And more of our audience is sitting there at a TV, and they want to sit and watch an hour to 2 hours of content and an interview on their television on their couch. And then they have the big push for shorts. So I think that middle ground is being squeezed, in my opinion. I've noticed that definitely over the past few years, for sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that you just said about the formats and how it's shifted over time. I was always against shorts. I have always been against consuming them, because I know the doom scroll and you're just swiping endlessly. And are you really getting anything out of it other than a quick dopamine hit? But I have shifted more towards them as I realized the benefits of them. But I love what you mentioned about doing the live stream, chopping it up. And I do know as a podcaster, people love to hop on YouTube and pull up an hour-long video and listen to it as they're doing other things. They're using it as people used to listen to podcasts back in the day. And so I completely agree with that. Now, as far as YouTube itself and the platform, what is working on YouTube right now? You just mentioned a bit about formats and shorts and vertical video, but from your perspective at a very high level, and you have obviously folks working with you and working for you, helping you curate this content, strategically, what are you guys doing in 2026 and going forward to optimize the channel and to grow it as best you can?
One of the things it's been on my mind so much, and I struggle with it, but I'm really trying in 2026. And I've talked with my team, David on my team and Philip on my team, about how we can really do longer form evergreen content interviews.
Yeah.
We've been flying individuals here to the studio. It's expensive, but okay, I want to have that face-to-face personal connection in our studio, 2-hour-long interviews. And I really think that that's what we're focused on. It's the evergreen content because, we're news of the day, right? Like yesterday, I don't know when people are going to listen to this show, but like yesterday on our show, Reuters is reporting that within 24 hours, President Trump is going to launch an attack against Iran. And then last night, as we're going to bed, it seems like that got stopped. Putin back channel discussions, like all of this, like last minute stoppage of it. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe 48 hours, who knows? But then, so 2 weeks from now, someone's probably not going to want to watch that, right? It's out of date. So the long form evergreen content has done really, really well for us. If I look at our analytics and I see the content that over the past couple of months has done really well, it's interviews about topics that have nothing to do with like time and date right now. An interview I did about, or a discussion or a segment that I did about how damaging LASIK eye surgery is. And how the industry has gone to great lengths to hide all of the adverse events as it relates to LASIK eye surgery. Like that video, it's evergreen, so it continues to do well. Or deep, long form interviews. I did a deep dive interview with JP, who came forward as a whistleblower, U.S. Army whistleblower, part of the secret space program, been to the moon base. Like, might be mind blowing to some people. But when you go through and see his documents and understand that he's been in the dark and trying to come forward for a long, long time, So I did an interview, a 2-part interview with him right before the holidays. And that's Evergreen. That'll continue to do really, really well. So yeah, Evergreen long form content has been my focus. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think people want that.
I interrupt the conversation for just 30 seconds to tell you about 2 things that we're offering creators right now. Number 1 is our YouTube channel review and audit service. If you'd like another set of eyes to take a look at your channel, I'll do this personally and record a screencast video telling you where I think you should be spending your time. That way, you make the most of the time you're spending on your creator business. And then lastly, our creator mastermind group. It is over 150 creators strong. It is a place where you can discuss and talk YouTube all throughout the day. We have mastermind calls that I host on Zoom every month, exclusive podcast recordings weekly. It is one of the best bangs for your buck in the YouTube space. So just take a look at the show notes and you'll see everything that we offer to creators. And now back to the show. Yeah, I love evergreen content. My main channel, one of my main channels is a tutorial-based channel where I do technology tutorials and reviews, and I have videos that get views for 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line just because of just the helpfulness of them and the educational nature. I love podcasts like what we do here. This can be very much evergreen, is where it continues to work for you over time. Whereas what you're doing mainly on the Redacted channel up to this point is just really reacting to what's happening, what's coming down the pipeline, which is kind of what you cover in the live show. Now, as far as monetization, how are you able to make money from what you're doing? Can you talk about the different buckets and avenues you're able to make money with your YouTube channel? I would assume talking about some of the topics that you talk about, it can get a little bit, you kind of have to tiptoe around certain things, I would assume. But what are ways that you're able to monetize and make money as a creator at your scale?
Mostly, obviously YouTube monetization, YouTube ads, of course.
Yep.
We do not turn on those live ads during the live stream. I find them invasive. In fact, YouTube yesterday just sent a survey to me asking, like, why don't you use YouTube live ads during your show? And I said, I find them intrusive. Our audience finds them intrusive. And it asked, are you worried about losing viewers during that? And yes. So we don't. So, and I would say our live stream from a monetization perspective probably does, is like a smaller fraction of our overall revenue. Most of our revenue comes from just publishing our actual videos to the channel. We also are partners with Rumble. So we're on Rumble. We live stream to Rumble every day. And so we have that additional monetization, which has been great. And I would actually say a large portion of our audience is now live on Rumble with us rather than even on YouTube during the show. Like during our live streams, we'll have anywhere from like 10 to 15,000 live with us on YouTube. And then on Rumble, we'll have like 15 to 20, sometimes 25,000 on Rumble. It's simultaneously, so 40-ish thousand live with us every day. So the live stream is a piece of it. The other, and then of course and in fact, my producer David saying 10% or 15%. So 15% of us, 15% of the revenue comes from our live streams. And then we also stream live on X every day as well, simultaneously. And we have about 10,000 people that, give or take, watch us live there. So it's kind of like monetization buckets all around. But then we have a couple of different advertising agencies that we work with, who sell, like 3 to 4 ads live during our show that align with our brand, that align with who we are. Natural brands.
And those are just reads, like you're just reading those like you would on a podcast as throughout the show.
And it's mostly ad-libbing, but in my own voice or Natalie's own voice, my wife who does the show with me, we split the ad reads throughout the show. We usually try to do it in between guests. So if we've got let's say we've got like a senator on the show at the top of the show, like Senator Rand Paul or something, after about 15 minutes with him. Thanks, Senator. Great having you on the show. Hey, coming up, we're going to do this, talk about this. But first, we're going to tell you about this, this sponsor.
Yeah.
And we try to keep it to like 45 seconds, and then we go to the next story. So yeah, ad reads and just YouTube and Rumble monetization and X monetization. We just got, monetized on X as well. So, you have to be diverse. I mean, because you're up against the behemoths, you're up against like the mainstream media money and all this. And so it's hard out there for independent creators for sure.
Yeah, you have to diversify it in a way. And I was going to ask you about X, if you're able to monetize over there. And so obviously you answered my question there. So I would assume with close to 50,000 cumulative views on a live stream on a show, which, you guys are doing daily, Those ad reads and those sponsors, do you normally sell those slots out monthly or weekly or quarterly? And what would you say on average one of those spots could pay you for a show that has that large of a reach?
That's a great question. I'd have to dive more deeply into the numbers, but some of them we sell yearly. We'll have I signed a couple of that we have for the year. I know at least 2 of them were lined up for or like 3 or so were lined up for the year. A lot of the agencies, the few of the agencies that we work with, they love selling stuff for the year or 6 months, in large batches. It's almost never do we do like a one-off kind of an ad read, because you do need to build brand loyalty. And I can see just from like one of our sponsors, and they'll pay like a few $1,000s per spot from what I think. I have to go through the numbers, but they want to build brand loyalty. And then you'll start to see in the comments, for instance, like one of our sponsors, Bearskin, they make like awesome hoodies and stuff. And they support veterans groups as well. And I'm a huge fan of them. And so we've been talking about them since like October. Their hoodies are fantastic. And now I see in the comments, people are like, I got one for my grandson for Christmas. He loves it.
Cool.
And you just see people. So you can't just do a one-off ad. I just don't find that really works for companies. Like, I think you need to, if they become part of your favorite show every day, like, hey, that brand supports my favorite show, I'm going to buy the dog food that they like, the natural dog food that they use, because they support my favorite creator. So it builds that kind of brand loyalty.
If you were starting a YouTube channel today, what would be your strategy from scratch?
I think evergreen content, and I another big shift I've been seeing is, I think they're going YouTube. Yes, they're pushing shorts big time, but they're also pushing longer form content, putting the you back in YouTube, which is no editing. I'm an old guy in a rocking chair telling you why you need to be a man.
I saw a video just like that, came up in my For You page or my home feed, whatever you want to call it. And it was a guy, and I went down, we all have gone down these rabbit holes, right? Where we watch a video and then it leads us to another video, whatever it may be. And this guy's really into pipe smoking and reading old literature. And it's got millions of views. And he's sitting there talking about his favorite pipe and his favorite tobacco to put in his pipe. And it's the most raw footage. There's no bells and whistles. There's no quick cuts. It's just him in this grimy chair with old books behind him, smoke going up in the air. And it's just the most intriguing thing. But I completely agree. This unedited, more transparent look is where we're seeing a lot of things go.
I think that has to be intentional on YouTube's part. Like,
yes.
Not everyone can be a Mr. Beast with like 3-second edits with graphics and craziness. And you see all these. You can go that direction, right? There's a gaming channel, Beat 'em Ups, guy named Wood hosts that show. He went in the direction of like the Mr. Beast style, like really quick edits. And then you have my friend who also has a video game channel, Johnny, a happy console gamer. He and I talk like every day, and I was saying to him, try some of these long form videos where no editing. You're just out talking about life and video games, and so because normally he'd be in a studio and it'd be quick edits and stuff, and his editor would do a lot of quick edits and quick cuts in 15 minutes and you're out. So he filmed one that was like an hour, just kind of walking in the woods, talking about life and video games and things like that. And I had been doing that over the past couple of years as well. And that video for him ended up doing like bonkers, crazy.
Awesome.
And he got so many emails and messages from people, no editing, just out in the woods kind of talking. So I think there is something to that. I mean, look, people watch ASMR of people building log cabins in the woods, so I think if I had to start something over again, I just have to be yourself. People can see right through fakery. And I think like really limiting the editing, and speaking, my friend, a pretty famous guy, Tucker Carlson, likes to say when he gives a speech, only speak about what you know. That's it. Get up on stage to give a speech, only speak about what you know for sure. And I think whether you're an electrician or a guy with a pipe or a video game fan, you're a walking encyclopedia of video games, speak about what you know and do it from the heart, truthfully, because people can see right through the fakery. Oh, I'm going to start a Russian politics podcast, and you don't know anything about Russian politics. It's like people can see right through it and it comes across as phony. So that's how I would start a new channel.
As far as packaging goes and thumbnails and titles and descriptions, you may not have that much to do with it now. You may have folks on your team that do it. But what is the strategy that you see working now as far as just putting together packaging that gets good click-through rate? And I'm sure you guys are looking, or somebody on your team is looking at those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I look at those numbers mostly. That's kind of my
Sure.
weakness because I'm constantly in there. We have one of our team members, Derek. He does all of our thumbnails, and he and I collaborate. I'll say, "Hey, I want to put Trump on the thumbnail, looking straight at the camera, and the U.S. dollar on fire next to him because it's about Trump's move could tank the U.S. dollar, or whatever, you know." But then I have to sit and think about what is going to get people to click. I don't want to give away the story in the thumbnail. Why watch the video if they already can get the full story in a title in the thumbnail? You know, oh, I don't need to watch that because they just told me what's going on. Trump's tariffs tank dollar. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that's just an example, right? Fed just cut interest rates. Like I would never put that as a title. Fed just cut interest rates. Great, thanks. Now I don't need to watch your video. Fed just cut the interest rates, you know? So I try to think of things that are intriguing. Maybe if there's a long form conversation, I try to pull a quote sometimes. And I think that works. So for instance, I just did a deep dive segment on how we used directed energy weapons in Venezuela during this most recent attack. And this tech has been kind of around for about 20 years. It's kind of been kept hidden. These sort of sonic attacks where people's brains feel like they're frying inside their skull. And this Venezuelan soldier was like, we've never seen this before. All of my men just collapsed. I thought my head was going to explode. So that was literally the title. Quote, I thought my head was going to explode. End quote. Venezuelan soldiers shocked by what they saw, you know, something like that. But I try to pull quotes out that are intriguing, and then I deliver on that quote because I'm literally pulling an exact quote. So it's not clickbait, but you have to me, like clickbait is, you got to get people to click. You're in a sea of so much noise. Now, then you have to deliver on it. So clickbait, I like the term clickbait, actually. It's like you're fishing. Here's, you know, we're baiting you. We want you to watch the video because we did a lot of hard work on this video and this interview. We want you to see it. Do we deliver on the title? That's kind of how I come down to it at the end of the day. I don't want to say something in the title that's not true in the video or doesn't pay off in the video, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And just a follow-up question, in the day and time that we're in now, in the world of AI, are you using any tools to help you that you maybe weren't a few years back, just knowing kind of where we are with artificial intelligence? Or is that something that you'd rather not do?
Oh, for sure. I'm not one of these people. I think you have to, it's a tool. It's a tool in your tool belt. And so what I'll do is I'll take our whole segment. If I've written a whole 1,000-word script, I'll put it into AI and say, hey, give me 10 usable YouTube titles based on my channel's history and what we've done in the past in our own voice. And then it'll spit out like 10 examples. And I'm like, and most of the time I don't use any of them, but what
It's a
I'll
good
do,
starting point.
It's a great starting point. And I think, and like, I know, like even Russ over at Retro Game Core, one of my favorite gaming YouTube channels, he does a lot of handheld gaming stuff. And he, former military guy, he's like, I don't crap on AI. He's like, I use it as a starting point. Most of the time they're garbage. I don't use them, but it's a good starting point. Or I can take an amalgamation of like 1 or 2 or 3 of the titles and kind of maybe combine them and tweak them a little bit and then go from there. So that's how I've been using AI. It helps me as like a starting point, as a, oh, I haven't thought about that. But most of the time they're pretty bland. Or I'll do the split test. You know, I do the A/B and A/B split test. And the one that I've come up with almost always is the winner. Almost always. It's almost never one that I got with the help of AI. So I'll just put that out there. We've done a lot of split tests over the past few months, hundreds of them. And I can tell you almost overwhelmingly from the data, the one that I came up with, the human, was the one that worked.
What do you think? My friend, a good friend, Nick Nimmin, and I have a episode we do at the end of every year for the past 5-6 years, where we talk about and project where we think YouTube and the content creation space is going forward and looking forward, knowing what you know and looking back at what's worked and what hasn't. What do you foresee in regards to things happening in the YouTube and the creator space moving forward?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I think you're going to see a lot more you in YouTube. and more reality and truth and grittiness and groundedness and not over polished editing. I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see more of a lean back experience too. The numbers just continue to grow on couches. People aren't going to sit there and watch YouTube shorts on their Apple TV above their fireplace. Maybe some kids will, but for the most part, people are going to want to sit there and watch a long form interview. That's why we rolled out something called the Redacted files on our channel. It's a more of a historical documentary style, 45 minutes to an hour long segments. So I don't know that we'll see this shift, but you can see what YouTube is doing. They're actively pushing shorts on the homepage. They want to compete with TikTok. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella just a few weeks ago in an interview said his biggest competition for Xbox is not PlayStation. It's not Nintendo. It is TikTok. It is short form, little dopamine hits that kids are getting. And I think it's really terrible for kids. Absolutely. I think it's terrible for all of us, to be honest with you. We use it. We use it and put out little chunks from our interviews as short form content with the hopes that people will come over and watch our long form content. I haven't looked at the data to see if that's working or not. And it's a good question, actually, to see if we've been doing it over the past few months, if it's then causing people to go to long form content or they're just staying in the short form and they don't care about long form at all. Yeah, I think more grounded in reality, truth, less editing, more you and YouTube, and more lean back experiences are going to be what we're going to see maybe going forward in the coming years.
As I know you gotta get out here shortly. Last question for you: live streaming. Many people are afraid of doing it. They're afraid of putting themselves out there, which I think is funny. I guess the difference in recording and uploading a video is you can edit out all the things that you want edited out. But when you're live, all of your flubs and things get left in. What would you say in regards to live streaming? Would you recommend it to creators? And if so, how would you recommend get started and being able to stream to 0 viewers and how to get practice?
I wish I was better at super chats, honestly. I know some creators push it and they get hundreds of super chats. It could really be a really strong source of revenue for us. We have such a jam-packed show every day that it's hard to do that. So I think, to me, live streaming is it's a community nurturing tool. So I brought up my friend Johnny over at the Happy Console Gamer. He does a weekly show. Every week he publishes an episode. But when he does like maybe once a month live stream, he gets hundreds of people in there and he just interacts with them for 2 hours and he just gets like flooded with super chats, and it can be a great way to nurture your community. People are like, I've been watching your show for 15 years. I love, what do you think about this? And it's a great way to have this community. I think, for people who are nervous about doing it, just set up a nice background. Set up a simple background that's well lit. Have a few things that you want to talk about right off the top. Tell people that you're going to open it up for super chats a little bit later, or chat room. You're going to hang out with your audience a little bit later. And get through the things that you want to talk about and interact with your audience. And the good news is later in the YouTube editor, you can cut off the first part of it. If you're like stumbling over your words when you first start, find a good starting point where you feel like the show kicks on, and then hang out with your audience for an hour at the end. Maybe do it once a month to see how you like it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's for everybody, and I don't know how YouTube treats it. Does YouTube care? I guess that's a big question. Like, does YouTube really care about people live streaming? I don't know. I don't know where they see it in their cornucopia of products right now compared to shorts and long form videos and advertising. So, it may not have all the benefits that we think it does, but I think it has a great audience nurturing. If you can interact with your audience, that's powerful. People who live stream and don't interact with their audience, then why are you going live?
Yeah, I think also what I like about it is just the ability to repurpose it, like what you guys are doing, and do the short 15 to 20-minute snippet clips as long form. Then you can snip the short form vertical. And so you really get a great grasp of just everything from that one big chunk of content that you're creating with live stream. and people can really optimize it. You mentioned that you don't put on the YouTube ads throughout the stream, but one of the ways to monetize a live stream is once you hit stop stream, that video then becomes a VOD or a video on your channel that people can go and search, and optimizing it as a creator is probably one of the better things you can do as a streamer.
Yeah, I mean, our audience, like I said, we have the tens of thousands of people that watch us live at that time at 4 p.m. Eastern, but a lot of people are at work, but they can't, so they watch it later. We have international viewers who watch it the next day, and so people can go and watch it, find it, and watch it on their own time and on their own. And we also repurpose it on podcasts, so we publish it. We cut the audio and publish it as an audio podcast, and we get about 300,000 people that listen on the audio podcast. So people, maybe don't want to watch the live video. You're right about the repurposing. I think it's great. Yeah, it also allows you to just kind of be a little stream of consciousness. Like, hey, I do it on my gaming channel. I like to do a live stream on Fridays if I can, when I'm not live streaming on my main Redacted channel. So I'll just I have a few topics I want to talk about on a Friday. Talk about some games, talk about what's going on in the industry, Nintendo or whatever, and then I'll live stream to that audience, and it'll be far fewer people watching. It might be like 500 or 400 compared to the thousands I get on my other channel, but it's fun, and I can interact with people and have a good time. And if I wanted to repurpose something, I can use it and push it out there as a separate video too.
It's awesome. Clayton, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, go check out what Clayton has going on over on his Redacted News or Redacted channel. And then tell everyone the name of your gaming channel as well.
Yeah, it's just my personal name. So it's just Clayton Morris. That's just, there's nothing, even though I call it kind of Clayton Plays, but it's just Clayton Morris is the channel on YouTube. Yeah.
And I'll link all of that in the show notes. As you can tell, Clayton has such a great breadth of knowledge in regards to the creator space, been doing it for so long. So you had a good look at what was working way back then and now what's working now and the change of the landscape. And so I really appreciate your insight. It has been great. And we'll talk to you next time. And that's a wrap on this week's conversation on the Creators Hub podcast. Clayton was so generous with his time. He is a very large creator who has influences in a lot of different areas and spaces, and he decided to dedicate 30 to 45 minutes with us today. And I'm so thankful for that. What a great episode this was. Don't forget to check out all of our offerings for you, the creator, down below in the show notes, and subscribe to the show if you haven't already, so you'll be notified every Friday when we go live with a new recording. I hope you guys have a great day whenever you're listening to this, and we'll talk to you next week.